So Boris Johnson is easing Britain out of the lockdown. The lockdown was a response to the ravages of COVID-19 going through sections of the British public. Much like a flu, but very, very, very different, affecting sometimes elderly people, people with underlying infections. The lockdown was a response to protect the National Health Service, the idea being that if they could micromanage the number of infections, that it would be possible for the health service to not be overwhelmed by the number of people who may need ventilated. The magic number they talk about, the R number, which is the ratio of transmission, if it's below 1, it is perceived that it is possible to manage the COVID-19 pandemic. And indeed, the lockdown has worked in these circumstances to protect the NHS and protect lives. Although it was too late when it was brought in, there was too much prevarication, there were too many delays, and possibly tens of thousands of people died needlessly through government inaction. So what's changed? That Britain is coming out of the lockdown and easing the restrictions. They want the children to go back to school on the 1st of June. They're opening gardening centres. They are opening the workplaces to encourage people to go back to work. Places like London with the tube and London Transport is a huge kind of a breeding ground for transmission of the COVID-19 virus. So if we believe what the government has said, that before March, February, there were no COVID-19 infections in the United Kingdom, and that indeed this virus travelled from outside of the United Kingdom and Ireland onto these shores, then we started off with no infections, then one infection, possibly several, leading to tens of infections, then hundreds, then thousands. So by easing the lockdown, it is not because the pandemic has gone away. It's not because they have a vaccine in place to protect the people. It's not because they are doing mass testing and contact tracing as they're doing in many other countries. It's simply because the economy is crumbling. The elite and the corporate are safe in their homes and in their mansions and in their isolation. Their children won't be returning to private school education before September this year, but they want the children of the working class and the middle class to return to the nurseries, the primary schools and the comprehensive and secondary school system from the 1st of June. So potentially the lives of working people and the lives of the middle class are expendable so long as the government can attain herd immunity through allowing infections to run rife among the population, then have lockdown, then ease the lockdown to allow a second wave, then renew the lockdown, then ease the lockdown for a third wave in the hope that eventually, if a vaccine isn't found, that herd immunity will by stages work its way through the population. So with over 50,000 dead according to the Financial Times, and many more today, and possibly a second and a third wave in the offing, I can only surmise that Boris Johnson and the British government and some of the regional assemblies are happy to allow tens of thousands of their citizens to die needlessly in order that profit is made for companies that are struggling due to the economic downturn. It's very sad, and unfortunately it is the outcome of a neo austerity laden Conservative government that has a huge majority and won't have to answer to anyone within Parliament or anyone within the public until the next election in 3 to 4 years' time.